What up, everybody? Good morning and a very happy Monday to you all. Pretty much a victory calling it. That's weekend, and you're ready to hit up a brand new work week here. Appreciate you tuning in. If it's on those radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available to stream online at Sports Talk 10, well, you could go to sportstalk1051.com, stream it up over there. Otherwise, up on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch for the video streams. Download the app, take it on the go. And your smart devices, like your Alexa devices, just say, yo, Alexa, play WAYY. So, again, appreciate you making us a part of your start for this brand new work week here. And hopefully it was a good weekend, just like the Brewers had themselves a fantastic weekend. Another sweep, back-to-back sweeps for the Brewers, this time at the hands, taking down the Nationals. Going back to Friday, an 8-3 victory over the Nationals. Saturday, come from behind, walk-off win, 6-5 against the Nationals. And then yesterday, an 8-1 victory behind another stellar performance from Jacob Misiorowski. Brewers now entering the All-Star break with a 56-40 overall record, which, believe it or not, is now a franchise record for the Brewers for most wins heading into an All-Star break. That, I will admit, that surprised me a little bit. I don't know if it surprised anybody else with a little fun nugget there, but yeah, setting a franchise record for wins heading into the All-Star break. Second best winning percentage, only behind the 1979 Bambi's Bombers, who had a 587 winning percentage heading in the All-Star break. Brewers right now, 583. Brewers one game behind the Cubs for the NL Central, but the Brewers are now the top team, wild card team in the standings as it is right now. So I have to imagine, a lot to like about the Brewers right now. And then over the weekend, it was announced, Friday night, it was announced that Jacob Misiorowski making the All-Star game. What are your thoughts on that? We put that up as a poll question last night as part of our Post Glass and Mirror 715 Speaks poll question. And I honestly wasn't quite sure how the vote would go. I didn't know if, Brewers fans would just kind of pump up that poll and say, heck yeah, he deserves to be. However, 73% of the votes said, no, you don't think he should be in the All-Star game. Jacob Misiorowski breaking Paul Skeens' record for fewest games being played before heading into an All-Star break. He has obviously just only played 5. Paul Skeens was 11 last year. So if you did vote or if you didn't vote and you want to throw your 2 cents in, I'm curious to hear it. So do you think Misiorowski should have been selected to the All-Star game? Let me know. All right, text me at 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or hit me up on the socials, facebook.com/Kasper Sports, Instagram Dan Kasper Sports, X at Dan Kasper, or on the video streams too. So what do you think, peeps? I'll admit I was a little surprised. I shouldn't say a little. Yeah, I was pretty surprised that they actually did it with only a handful of games in there, but I've gone back and forth on this thing. On one hand, it's a fans game and it's a business. I mean, Misiorowski draws eyes, he draws attention, and he draws hype, and that's why I understand it from that side and from a business side and popularity in that. But were there other guys that have played a majority part of the season that maybe deserve a little bit more recognition? I think you can make that case too. So I'll be honest, I've gone back and forth on this thing, and maybe it just kind of depends on how you view the All-Star game. But we'll deep dive into this throughout the morning here. Also, Freddie Peralta, I mentioned him just a little bit ago, but picking up his 11th win, and I think this has kind of gone under the radar here a little bit too. Freddie Peralta, an all-star, but won't be pitching in the game because he just made the start yesterday. But Freddie Peralta is now tied with Max Fried for the most wins in Major League Baseball, not just the National League. We're talking about Major League Baseball. 11 wins for fastball Freddie. And when you talk about, the starting pitching staff for the Brewers, obviously right now, Mizorowski is the hot name. He's the name that everybody's talking about, everybody wants to see. And you talk about the starting rotation with all the injuries that they've had at the beginning of the year, and then you talk about Brandon Woodruff's return. And then there you go. You just have kind of Mr. Consistent himself this year, Freddie Peralta, who has now won 6 in a row, and he's 11-4 with a 2.66 ERA. I go back to a poll question we did a few weeks ago. I think it was after Mizorowski's first or second start. And we threw out that question. Who would you rather start in a must-win game right now? And it wasn't even close. I think it was like in the 90s. It was like 90%. Even just after 2 games, it was Mizorowski over Freddie Peralta. But you look at what Freddie Peralta has done so far this season. Tied for the majors for the most wins. 6 wins in a row. 2.66 ERA. He's off to he's had an awesome, fantastic first half. Now, I know this is a ceremonial first half for baseball. It's not mathematically, right? But who do you think, player-wise, we're going to keep it to just the players, but player-wise, who is the MVP of this Brewers team right now? If we keep it to just players, is it Freddie? Is it too early to go Mizorowski? Yelly's got 19 home runs at the break. Sal Frelick, the greatest baseball player of all time with a 294 average. However, getting hurt with a hamstring injury yesterday. Hopefully this break will help heal it up. And hopefully it won't be a long out where he won't be missing a ton of time. But gosh, that's a bummer heading into the break. No question about it. So plenty of baseball talk as we get into this all-star break now too, surrounding the Milwaukee Brewers. Maybe the hottest team. I don't know if the Brewers actually want to go on an all-star break, but it actually helps with maybe Frelick and getting him a little rest and relaxation over there too. So plenty of baseball talk coming at you. We'll continue our Packers training camp storyline countdown series. Quarterbacks and injured players are going to be reporting later on this week. The first practice, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday already for Packers training camp. So we will be continuing our countdown, our series countdown for the top storylines for the Packers heading into the training camp and preseason and such. We'll actually try to catch up a little bit here and do 2 storylines. I want to talk a little bit about the tight ends today. Tucker Kraft, I think there is an expectation. There is a thought. There's a, maybe a hope or a wish that year 3 he will be featured more in the offense. I think you get that from a lot of fans and probably from the team themselves. I think there's this expectation we're going to see a year 3 bump from Tucker Kraft in the maybe statistical category. But you also have a Musgrave who was banged up for a good chunk last year, but he still has these unique physical traits that can make him a dangerous weapon within this offense and a very good weapon in this offense. So I want to talk a little bit about the tight ends, but then I want to talk about the play callers, and I'm talking about LaFleur, Halfley, and I'm going to throw Rich Bisaccia into this for the special teams. So essentially 2 coordinators and then the head coach who calls the plays for the offense. I want to talk a little bit about them because I think each individual, each play caller entering training camp and preseason all has a little bit of a spotlight or attention on them for different reasons, various reasons. When it comes to Jeff Halfley entering year 2 leading this defense, there's an excitement level. There's like, okay, How do we build upon year one? And then you look at some of the defensive moves that they have made. How will he adjust that? How will he adjust, or get the most out of some guys and such? And then Matt LaFleur, I think, you talk about his play calling and adding some weapons like a Matthew Golden and a Savion Williams, and then saw what they did last year with Josh Jacobs. I think there's some, like, okay, is there enough play calls? Is there enough footballs to go around for everybody on this offense? So, and then Rich Bisaccia, look at the special teams group with some of the miscues from last year. But, Daniel Whalen, I thought, took a nice jump as a punter. McManus coming back as kicker and such. But I think the biggest question when it comes to the special teams for some fans is probably going to be on those coverage units. And then, the return game too. Is it going to be McCole Hardman? Is it going to be Keyshawn Nixon with some of the changes in the rules? So we'll talk a little bit about the play callers as they head into this this training camp and preseason. It is Monday, which means I'm not saying, but I'm just saying fill in the blanks. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. And I'll give you a little bit of a cheat code. An easy one probably relates to Jacob Mizorowski. Depending on what side you're going to take on that debate. Could be something else too. So, but let's jump right into it, shall we? All-Star break is here, but plenty of positive stuff to be talking about regarding this Milwaukee Brewers team. Entering the All-Star break, 16 games above 500, the most wins. Oh, and then we got to talk a little bit about the draft, Major League Baseball draft beginning last night too. Actually more than a few Brewers picks coming in here. First couple picks, they go with the bat, especially with their first overall pick. Going with a left-handed power bat from Tennessee, Andrew Fisher, becoming the first-round pick for the Brewers yesterday. So third baseman, first baseman, sounds like they're going to give him a shot over at third base right away. So, but we'll go through some of those picks as well. But let's get things rolling here. We'll take our first break, and then the leadoff. Lots of Brewer stuff. I want to hear from you. Hit me up with some text, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Give me an MVP for the ceremonial first half of the Brewer season. Do you believe Mizorowski should be on the All-Star game? I think we can go both sides. As a fan, you're pumped. You're excited. Like, heck yeah. But from looking at it from the outside, do you think he should have been added on there? What side are you taking on this whole debate? So we'll take our first break and then get things rolling here this morning. Hopefully all had a fantastic weekend and you're ready to hit up a brand new work week. I know it can get tough. We'll try to make it a little bit better on this Monday morning. We'll be back to talk some more Brewers baseball. Just a couple weeks away from the 5th annual Casper Classic, and I think last check we only have 5 spots left. That's it, just 5. 1 p.m. tee time. So head on over to sportstalk1051.com and get your 2-person team signed up today. All right, just for $90. Just for $90. You get a 2-person team. That's 90 per team, not 90 per person. So divide it in half with your buds, and it's just $45. But that includes your 9 holes, your carts, your free meal, and some drink tickets as well. Friday, August 1st, from gorgeous Lake Hallie Golf Course. Get your team signed up right now for a chance to win some title belts. So we just only have 5 spots left for that 1 p.m. tee time. Again, just head to sportstalk1051.com and you can sign up online right there. Simple as that. I want to give a shout out to our partners again for helping us bring you another golf outing. First off, Lake Hallie Golf Course for hosting us this year. Park Ridge Distributing, Edward Jones, financial advisor, Kelsey Nikolai, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire, VFW Post 305, Myron Construction, Doodah Gin, AJM Automotive Services, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, Economy Furniture, Muldoon's Menswear, Home Oasis, Service Master. Also, want to shout out Trillium Spinal Care in Altoona, Dr. Stittelberg. And then some organizations and peeps who have donated some raffle prizes. That includes Chippewa River Industries, Spectrum Industries, awards, and more. Economy Furniture also donating. Myron Construction just dropped off a sweet Packers basket filled with Packers goodies on Friday. So a big thanks to them as well. I know Brandon's mom and Rocky going to be donating a couple items too. So, and we've got a couple jerseys we just picked up to throw in there as well. So if you're interested, we still have a few more spots open for sponsors. If you do sponsor a hole, you get a team included in there as well. Or if you want to donate a raffle prize, because that all goes towards Backyard Dreams. That's what this whole thing's for. So if you want to help that out and support that cause, let me know. Let me know. All right, shoot me a message. So, but coming up here, 2 weeks from this Friday already, going to be golfing at Lake Hallie for the 5th annual classic. So, all right, let's talk some baseball, shall we? Brewers, lots to like about with the Milwaukee Brewers. Another sweep for the Crew, this time against the Nationals. You know, Friday we were talking about, is there a little bit of a trap coming off of a highly emotional, pumped up, energetic series sweep against the Dodgers? How do they follow that up? Would it be a little bit of a trap? Would they? And then you got the All-Star break coming up after that. Would they kind of, take a deep breath and then the Nationals come in and maybe win the series and such? No. Brewers get it done with another sweep. Let's go back to Friday's game. Kind of go through this. An 8-3 victory for the Crew on Friday. Brewers putting up those 6 runs in the bottom of the third. And just going with the combo of DL Hall and Quinn Priester. Priester picking up his 7th win of the season, 7-2, 3.55 ERA. Hall pitching the first 3 innings, and then Priester coming in afterwards to finish it up there. Brewers also getting 10 hits in that game, led by Frelick and Contreras and Durbin, but an 8-3 win to start off that series. And then Saturday's game, I was like, maybe not looking at Brandon Woodruff's home return, his 2nd start on the season. Woodruff going 4 1/3, giving up 2 earned runs, a couple home runs, 5 hits, but did strike out 10 in 4 1/3. But kind of looks like it might be the Nationals' day after they put up 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th and then another one in the 9th. What do the Brewers do, though, after being down by a couple? They tie it up. You got to have Mr. Vaughn, this guy, dudes. I mean, a couple hits, 4 RBIs for him. to tie that thing up. I mean, and then to walk it off in that game, just the not giving up mentality that this team has, getting the job done. It was man, that was a heck of a game to watch, because it just felt like maybe after the Brewers lost that lead in the 8th, and then in the 9th they added another one in there. It's like maybe it's going to be that game in this series where they're not able to get it done. No sirree, no sirree. Andrew Vaughn with that double, and then to tie it up, and then Caleb Durbin's single on a ground ball that scored Andrew Monasterio for the walk-off. That was a fun win. That was a fantastic win there. And then followed it up with yesterday's performance by Freddie Peralta, another gem from fastball Freddie, his 6th straight flipping win in a row. Had the no going there for a little bit too. He goes 6 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 7 Ks for fastball Freddie to pick up his 11th win on the season, to improve to 11-4. Jackson Cheerio hitting his 16th home run. Terang followed it up with his home run back-to-back. Got to mention the Yelich home run a little bit earlier in the series too. He's up to 19 on the season. So, but just another fantastic outing for Freddie Peralta, who I think is, he is an all-star. He won't be pitching in the all-star game because he started yesterday's game. But his season overall, when you look at it, I think at certain times he's just kind of flown under the radar. And it's nothing from, because of him. It's just, you have the Mizorowski, the Miz factor. You have Brandon Woodruff coming back. And then even the narrative, or it's not really a narrative, but, the injury struggles to the starting staff, especially at the beginning of the season. There's been something surrounding the Freddie Peralta, whether it's been the staff overall with injuries, or a young fireballer coming in, young phenom, or the return of Brandon Woodruff. And you just have Mr. Consistent himself, Freddie Peralta, who has just been, I think, putting up right now his best season of his career, and entering, potential. We'll see how the season finishes off, but I still feel like Freddie might be a trade candidate, this upcoming offseason. I don't know. That could change depending on how the rest of this season goes, and maybe the Brewers kind of put all their chips in for next year. Who knows? But that we got plenty of time to talk about that and get to that. But you're talking now 6 wins in a row for Freddie Peralta. July, he is 3-0 with a 1.45 ERA. And that's against games with the Mets and the Dodgers, the first 2 games against the Mets and the Dodgers. So, I mean, he has just been amazing. And when you say he's tied, not just for the National League, but you're talking major league lead, tied with Max Fried for the most wins by a starting pitcher this year. I think that kind of gets flown under the radar a little bit, just how good Freddie has been this year. Is there still stuff we'd like to see a little bit better from Freddie? Yeah. Maybe like to see that pitch count continue to get, a little bit lower. He's still kind of, at times, he'll get to the 5th or the 6th, and he's approaching 100 pitches already. You'd like to see that get down. But, I mean, I think we're at the point now with Freddie Peralta, that's just what we're used to with him. And that's just probably his game at this point. Not saying he shouldn't work on that. Not saying that the coaching staff and the pitching staff shouldn't work on that. But I think that's what we just kind of come to expect with Freddie Peralta. That you're going to get a guy that's going to rack up a lot of pitches, and probably you're only going to get 6 innings and maybe a third out of him. That's just who he is. Once in a while, he'll have those games like he did his second start this year going up against the Royals, where he went 8 innings, had that pitch count at 97. But those are rare and far in between. But still doesn't diminish the fantastic job and the fantastic season that he has had so far. And he is a big reason, a huge reason why this Brewers team right now is 56-40 at the All-Star break. the most wins in franchise history before the All-Star break. Think about that. Now, I know some of it's like, well, they don't have a game against the Cubs yet. They got to make up, and you could look at other years and makeups and all that sort of stuff. I don't want to get too far into the weeds in that. Like, I don't want to do but back in the day, they didn't play as many games before the All-Star break, so yada, yada, yada. Okay, cool. The fact still remains there's 16 games above 500 into the All-Star break, and this is the most wins that they have ever had entering the All-Star break. And that includes teams like the 2018 team, the 2011 team, or these teams that we had some insanely high expectations or thought, division winners and making deep runs. It's this team, the 2025 Brewers, that has the most wins entering the All-Star break. And given the start that they had to this season, where it felt like, oh crap, getting dominated and shelled by the Yankees. Even that first game against the Royals, it was Freddie's start against the Royals that kind of stopped that bleeding a little bit. But factoring in the injuries that they had to that starting rotation, and then, not replacing Willie Adames with a power bat and kind of a sluggish start to begin the year. The fact that we're here right now, 96 games into this thing, into this All-Star break, and you're talking about a 56-40 Brewers team is it's remarkable. It's amazing. It's shocking. It's fantastic. It's awesome if you're a Brewers fan. If you're a Cubs fan, I hope you're getting a little bit nervous. That they may catch up to you. I mean, I'm already looking forward to, not to get too far ahead, because we got the Dodgers coming up after the All-Star break and such. But hopefully they get that, they can keep that momentum going. But at the end of the month, when Chicago comes to Milwaukee, talk about a big time series rolling into the month of August after that. But looking again at the job that this team has done, the performance that this team has done. I mean, there's so many people you could point the finger to and give them credit for where they're at right now. It's Pat Murphy. It's Chris Hook. You could say Matt Arnold. It's a ton of these players, like Freddie Peralta, like Sal Frelick, Christian Yelich, Mizorowski, Trevor McGill, Uribe, different players. But I mean, let's not kid ourselves. You could say, well, they're still second in the division. Cubs are a good team this year. It's okay to admit that the Cubs are a good team. But did you really think, even before the season started, if we would have said, so we don't know about the injuries to the starting staff, okay? We're talking, let's go back to like February or early March. And we did a bold prediction thing. And if we would have said, this Brewers team will have the most wins in franchise's history entering the All-Star break, I don't think too many people would have been agreeing with that. Been like, yeah, love the optimism, but probably not going to happen. And yet, here we are. In a deep National League here, too. Now the top wildcard team. Far from being even over with. Far from being even anything being decided at this point. But it's still just an absolutely remarkable job. And you just got to tip your cap to a ton of people involved in this. And I think with where this team's at right now, even with a 56-40 record, one game behind the Cubs, top wild card spot, we all know what's coming up here in a couple weeks. That's the trade deadline. And that's where you're going to see a lot of fans really paying attention and focusing on whether the Brewers are going to be buyers or are they going to stand pat. Is Matt Arnold going to give the go-ahead, or is he going to get permission to maybe make a couple of moves? Are they going to be move the meter type of moves? Remains to be seen at this point. Don't know. But overall, I mean, we can nitpick some of the issues with this team. Ortiz offensively, power. You look at that stuff, but to stay there 16 games above 500 and the most wins entering the All-Star break in franchise history, that's pretty damn impressive. And it's pretty awesome if you're a Brewers fan. You just hope that they can pick back right up where they left off after this All-Star break. Mizorowski to the All-Star game. Your thoughts? Do you agree with it? Do you yeah, I'm a Brewers fan and I love the Miz, but I don't know if he should have been in there. What do you think? Give me your thoughts. Quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. If you missed Saturday's episode of Tailgate Outdoors, it is available in podcast form. Just look up Tailgate Outdoors, or it's also available on the Man Cave podcast. Tim Kaiser from Whitetail Partners joined us Saturday morning to talk about what you could be doing right now in the month of July to get ready for the upcoming deer season. A good conversation with Tim, and Tim will be joining us every month going forward here. And if you ever have any questions for our whitetail deer hunting expert, Tim, let me know. We're going to do kind of like an Ask Tim segment. So if you ever have any questions for Tim that you would like answered and to be featured on the program, you can send those on over. And the next time Tim is on, he'll do a little Q&A segment. So, but again, if you missed Saturday's episode and you want to check it out, it is available either on the Tailgate Outdoors podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, or the Man Cave podcast, and at sportstalk1051.com. C-Bomb with a couple texts in this morning. I'm a little surprised, talking about Mizorowski. A little surprised they got put in the All-Star game, but he's 4-1 with a sub-3 ERA and throws triple-digit gas. Not only do the Brewers fans want him in the All-Star game, the MLB wants him in the All-Star game. Also saying, I'm not saying this is the best Brewers team ever. I'm just saying we've never seen a team this deep in Milwaukee. Send over your I'm not saying, but I'm just sayings via that texting line, and we'll read those up on the air too. Speaking of Mizorowski, Jacob Mizorowski added to the All-Star team. Your thoughts on that? Your thoughts on that? Here, so I've gone back and forth on this thing. And honestly, I feel like it's, well, how do you view the All-Star game? Now, I will say this. I feel like the Major League Baseball All-Star game is still one of probably still the All-Star game that means something to players. Like Pro Bowl doesn't mean anything to like the star players. It means the Pro Bowl probably still means a lot to maybe younger players or who hasn't gotten that acknowledgement yet. And financially, it means stuff to players because it's written in their contracts. If you get voted to a Pro Bowl, you get a little bit of a bonus. But in terms of just the honor, the legacy part of it, being selected to a Pro Bowl or an All-Star game, I don't think players really care about that when it comes to the NFL. Basketball, you still get your star players, but I mean, come on. We know how much that struggled. I mean, when you have sporting or sports leagues that are continuously trying to change up the All-Star game, the Pro Bowl game, trying to alter it to make it more appealing, you know you're in some trouble. Hockey has done a great job. NHL has done a fantastic job with it. NBA is going to try to copy that. Will it work? I got some doubts. I'm all about it for them trying it. I think that's the way they have to go for the NBA, like making it a USA versus world thing. I think that's the way they got to go. But I have my doubts it's going to have the same fanfare and be as good as what the NHL did. But baseball, outside of Selig for a hot minute there, making the winner of the All-Star game, getting World Series advantage for their league, you haven't seen a bunch of changes. You've seen changes with like the home run derby and such. But in terms of the actual game, you haven't. And you still see a lot of star players pitch it. It still means something to be the all-star starting pitcher, right? You still have that. So if you look at it from a purist standpoint, it probably doesn't make sense, or you probably don't agree with Mizorowski being selected to the All-Star game because he's only played in 5 games. Maybe you think it's a Ranger Suarez from the Phillies that deserves it more than him because he's been, playing longer this season. He's got more on his resume in terms of games so far this season. So if you look at it from that standpoint, yeah, you probably don't think Mizorowski belongs in it. But if you look at it from a standpoint of like, well, the All-Star game is a game for the fans. It's a game for, drawing attention to our league, to our game. It's a celebration for our game and for our league. Then you're probably like, yeah, Mizorowski deserves to be on there because the guy is drawing attention. They're marketing the heck out of him, Brewers and Major League Baseball, not just the Brewers, but Major League Baseball. You got a starting pitcher who throws triple digits, not just like once in a while, but a ton mixed in with that ridiculous slider that he throws. So if you want more attention and you want the game's maybe right now brightest stars and most popular stars, his arrow is trending upward. So you're probably thinking, yeah, absolutely. He's one of the youngest stars in the game that's getting a ton of attention and a ton of talk. Why not put him on the All-Star stage so he gets more attention, and maybe other fans who haven't gotten to see him, this is a chance to potentially see this flamethrower. And again, I've gone back and forth on this, and I think ultimately you have to decide for yourself, how do you view the All-Star game? Do you view it still in maybe a little bit of a purist form? I don't know if that's the right word to use, but do you view it in a little bit more of a purist form where, no, he doesn't have a big enough sample size. It's still a game that means something to a lot of people. And I'm glad. Here's the thing too, like I'm glad that there's other players or teams maybe that are upset that Mizorowski is in there, because that means they actually care about the All-Star game. So I'm glad that there's players pissed. I'm glad that there's players upset about this, because that means they care. Like, I don't know if there's too many people in the NFL, if so-and-so doesn't make it, that they're going to be in such an uproar. Because the thing is like, they still might make it, because even if they're fifth on that list, especially if you're a quarterback. But the fact that you got players that are upset, annoyed, whatever, good. Because that means they still care about that game. I'm glad. But if you are of that side, you could still be a Brewers fan and still feel like Mizorowski doesn't deserve to be in the All-Star game. You could still be a Brewers fan and still say that, because maybe you're a little bit more of that. And I had plenty of people over the weekend reach out to me and say, what's going on here? Is this turning into the Pro Bowl with quarterbacks? Where you have a Mitchell Trubisky making the Pro Bowl or a Tyler Huntley making the Pro Bowl. Now, I don't think Mizorowski's to that level, but that's the example that's being thrown out there. It's like, let's go down all the way down the list on the quarterbacks. I think it's a little bit more to the point that Mizorowski is the attention getter. He's a big name right now, and he's a hot name. It's not like they were running out of pitchers to choose from, and that's who they chose. They had plenty of other options. But let's be real. It's the attention. It's the hot item right now. But I also feel like if you're a Brewers fan, take the win. Take it. We talk about small market, and we talk about not enough attention on small market teams and not enough national attention on the Brewers. And for a lot of Brewers fans, it's a frustration for them that, the big networks or the big media peeps like ESPN or such don't give enough love to the Brewers or this, that, and the other thing. And here you go. You got Major League Baseball that put one of your brightest stars on the All-Star game in the Midsummer Classic. Even though it's only just a handful of games in there, take the win. It's okay to take the win too. Get a little bit more attention to your team. Get a little bit more attention to one of your star players. You want that national attention? You want some national recognition? You want a little bit more praise and a little bit more compliments? Major League Baseball just gave it to you. Gave you a little bit of that by putting Mizorowski on the team. Was I surprised he was named? Heck yeah. When I saw that Friday night, I'm like, whoa. But I get it. I understand it. Because let's face it, it's still a business. It's going to draw more attention. Maybe not a ton more attention, but it's going to draw a little bit more eyes. And here's the thing, too. What are people talking about? They're talking about it right now leading up to it. So not only is he going to be pitching in it, but they're talking about it leading into it. It's a business decision. It's what's the hot item right now? The hot item is Jacob Misiorowski, especially coming off of his latest game, which was against the Dodgers, and he's already gone up against Paul Skeens. He's the hot name. Let's put him in our Midsummer Classic. Let's market him more. Get those eyes on him. Get those dollar signs going, right? It's a bit, but I don't want to take away anything from Misiorowski, though, too, because he is such a talented player. The potential is there. And he's right now, if he continues this path, the guy is going to make more All-Star games. He's going to make more All-Star games. So I don't care either way, to be honest with you. I don't care either way because I get both sides. I understand both sides. I understand the business side and getting your big names and your big, attention grabbers out there, and you want to go with the hot players that might make you a little bit more dough or get you a little bit more attention on your product. I get that side. I understand it. But I also get the other side too, where did he deserve it? Was there other guys more deserving of that? They have a little bit more of a resume than just 5 games for this year. Yeah, I understand that too. And I agree with it. But I think, as a Brewers fan, I think maybe the tie-breaking scenario for me in this whole thing might be I'm going to take a win when it comes to the Brewers when I can get a win. That's what it boils down to for me. I'm going to take a win. I can't sit here and, once in a while criticize or call out when the Brewers don't get a little extra love, don't get a little extra attention because they're not a big market team, because they're not in New York or because they're in California. I can't sit here and call that out and vent about it and get frustrated about it when Major League Baseball just right now kind of just did that for the Brewers. Like, hey, he's your hot ticket item right now. Let's put him on a world stage and give him a little bit more attention, and in fact, give your team a little bit more attention. So that to me, if there was a tiebreaker, I'm going to take the win for the Brewers, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Just not. Now, maybe if it was a Cubs player in that, we could be a little bit more critical in that and call it out because that's our rival, and that's what we do in sports, though, right? I mean, of course, there's probably, and to make it a little bit more, it replaced the Cubs player. So it's like, yeah, let's just edge that one in there a little bit more. You replaced the Cubs player too. So I mean, if it was Cubs player that only has 5 games in, he makes the All-Star game. Sure, we're going to sit there and criticize it and that because that's what we do. That's a rival. We do it every year in every sport. Come on. But it's our team. I'm going to take the W. I'm going to take the win. And I can't wait if he does get on that mound. Let's see Misiorowski on the world stage and impress more people out there. Why not? Why not? Don't apologize for it. Don't apologize for it. You get into a little barstool banter with a fellow fan of another team. Don't apologize for it. Say, I get it. I understand it. I understand both sides. But I'm going to take a little bit of a win when it comes to a little bit of extra attention for the Brewers whenever I can get it from a national sense. Just a little bit more. It's 2025. That's what it kind of all counts on right now. That extra attention, that extra mojo. All right. Final hour, first final hour. We're not that fast. So we're not that fast. Not that quick. First hour coming to a conclusion here in just a second. So next hour, I want to talk a little bit about Packers training camp storyline countdown series continuing. We're going to play a little catch up. We got 2 storylines I want to hit up. I want to talk a little bit about the tight ends, and I want to talk a little bit about the play callers. Also, I want to get back to Brewers talk too, because since we're at the ceremonial halfway mark, because it's not mathematically, give me your Brewers MVP. Is it Peralta? Is it Mizorowski? Is it Yelich with his 19 dingers? Anybody going to vote for the GOAT, Sal Freely? Anybody? Who's your vote? If you had one vote to cast for a first half Brewers MVP, just the player. I just want to keep it to the players because I know Pat Murphy would deserve some MVP votes. Chris Hook absolutely would deserve some MVP votes. But if we kept it just to the players, who gets your MVP vote? One in, two more to go. We got some news updates, and we'll be back to kick off the second hour after these few words. Second hour kicking off right now on this Monday morning of July 14th. I hope you all had a absolutely fantastic weekend this past weekend, and you're ready to hit up a brand new work week coming at you. All-star break for Major League Baseball, but also for the Northwoods League. So the Express players and staff, a little bit of an all-star break here, unless they're a part of the all-star festivities, of course. But off day today for the Express. All-star break Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They'll be back at it on the road, taking on Waterloo. The Express right now in second place in their division, 2.5 games back from Duluth. So, and when you look at the remaining schedule here for the Express, might need a little bit of help too, because they only played Duluth, it looks like, just 2 more times for the rest of the season. So we know the easiest way to make up ground on a team is to play them, but 2.5 back right now from Duluth. So we'll see if the Express can take care of their own business and catch up to them, but maybe get a little bit of help as well. Also got to give a shout out to the American Legion 19U Eau Claire team, the River City Classic champions this past weekend over at Karsten Park. So a shout out to American Legion baseball for a fantastic weekend too. So awesome. Good stuff. We spent the first hour talking lots of baseball, all Brewers baseball. Brewers 56-40 heading into the All-Star break. That is the most wins in franchise history as heading into the All-Star break, which I don't think I'm the only one who was a little surprised by that, but still freaking awesome. Another sweep for the Brewers, sweeping the Nationals over the weekend. So 7-game winning streak. Maybe they want to keep playing to keep riding that wave, but you got an injury to Sal Frelick in yesterday's game with a hamstring. He's undergoing an MRI, so hopefully nothing too serious. That'll keep him out for a long stretch of games, but maybe this week is a good week for him to just take a few days off and rest up there. But fingers crossed there. We won't see Mizorowski, by the way, in this Dodgers series. They already announced the rotation for that. That's going to be Priester, Peralta, and Quintana. That is going to start against the Dodgers after the All-Star break. So I would assume then that means Mizorowski is going to get one of those starts against Seattle, and maybe that sets it up that he would actually go up against the Cubbies. I think it does. So, but threw out a couple questions for you too. It was a part of our Post Glass and Mirror 715 Speaks poll question. Do you think Mizorowski deserves to be on the National League All-Star team? After it was announced Friday night that he was on the All-Star team, he was placed on the All-Star team. Do you think he should be? Yay or nay? Right now, about 70% of the people said no, he shouldn't. Who is your Brewers MVP? All right, from the first half of the season too. Who is your Brewers MVP from the ceremonial first half of the season? Because we know it's not a mathematical first half. That's long gone. Who would you pick for your MVP? My pick, I'm probably going to go Freddie Peralta. I think he has been the most consistent starter player for this team all season long. I would love to say Sal Frelick. I would love to say that, but I got to go Freddie. When you factor in all of the injuries at the beginning of the year with the starting pitching staff, he was the stable, the force, the guy in there. And you look at Freddie's career, and he has been pretty darn healthy throughout his career. But you look at the games, all of his games that he's pitched so far this season, the most runs he's given up in any single outing so far this season was against Cleveland on May 12th. 4 runs. 4 runs he gave up in 5 1/3 on 4 hits. Other than that, a couple times, it's been 3. Few 2s, few 1s, couple shutouts. But Freddie Peralta has been pretty dang consistent, pretty dang good all season long. Yes, we all would like to see him get that pitch count down. You know, we don't like to see 5 innings and approaching 100 pitches. We don't like to see, just getting to 6 and at 100 pitches. Of course, that's what we want to see. And that's kind of been the narrative surrounding Freddie for a big chunk of his career, right? But that's probably just who he is as a pitcher. And that's probably what we just got to get used to. You know, you look at his 3 starts in July. He's riding a 6-game winning streak right now, by the way. But you look at his last 3 starts in July. Back on the 2nd against the Mets. 6 innings, 100 pitches. Dodgers, 6 innings, 98 pitches. Yesterday, 6 2/3, 103 pitches. Of course, we would love to see a lot of 7 innings pitched, or even a little bit more of those 6 2/3 or 6 1/3, and not a lot of those 5s that he has on his game logs here. But overall, with the whole body of work from the first half of the season, I'm gonna go Freddie Peralta as my team MVP for the first half. My most surprising player, I'd probably go. I mean, you could go Sal, you could go Mizorowski if you want, but yeah, those would probably be some good ones in there. Trying to think, maybe Isaac Collins. Do you throw Isaac Collins there? Because I'll be honest, how many of us knew who Isaac Collins was or expected anything from him? But he's had some big hits. Is he a big power guy? No, but he has played some fantastic defense out there for a guy who's kind of a utility player and a guy who has been, asked to play a boatload of time because of injuries and such. But yeah, can throw him maybe in there too. Maybe you go McGill. Maybe you go Abner Uribe. Trying to think of some other surprising in a good way. Trying to be all positive here. So, but you can send those on over if you like. So, let's do a couple of texts here this morning. We've got Sal Frelick for a couple MVPs. I appreciate the Sal Frelick votes. So, but yeah, as Tim says, he sets up the offense leading off and is a staple now in right field with excellent defense. Surveyor is going MVP too. So, I wish I could go with Sal, but I got to go with Freddie. Tied for the major league lead in wins, tied with Max Fried with 11 wins for the most across all majors, and just dude is pitching lights out. He's been awesome and a big time stable in that starting rotation. I got to give my vote to Freddie. I'd love to give it to Sal, but I got to give it to Freddie right now. Do you think Mizorowski should be an all-star? Quick updates on our post-glass and mirror poll question that we posted up last night. Looks like 69% of you say no, 31% say yes. Brian says, I'm happy for him, great guy and all, but pitching 5 games total in your career just doesn't quite cut it. Hope he does great. A couple more picks here coming in for MVP. Jim is going with Freddie Peralta for the reasons you have already said. Dave is going with Freddie Peralta. And Chad is also going with Freddie Peralta. So keep those votes coming. You can hit us up at the text at 715-830-1912. Also send me your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying blank. I'm just saying blank. Mark, a little bit earlier, says, long gone are the days the MLB All-Star Game was a competition. Pete Rose isn't knocking over Roy Foss at the plate like the old days. It's turned into a promotional showcase, so it's unfortunate for those who are more deserving, but they don't move the needle like The Miz to create excitement for baseball. All right, we'll take a really quick break, and we're going to switch gears here a little bit. We'll talk a little Packers training camp as our storyline countdown continues. First practice next Wednesday. Quarterbacks and injured players will be reporting on Friday. So we've been doing some countdown storylines leading up to training camp, and we're going to do a couple of them today. I want to talk the tight ends, and I want to talk about the play callers. specifically Rich Bisaccia. I'm going to throw him on there. Jeff Halfley. And I'm going to do Matt LaFleur instead of Adam Stenovich, even though Adam Stenovich is the offensive coordinator. LaFleur calling plays in the offense. So that's who we're going to kind of take a look at. 3 individuals who I think are all entering this season with maybe different narratives or a little bit of a different spotlight on them all. But we'll talk about that. First up, we'll take a really quick break and we'll switch gears for a little bit and chat a little football after these few words. If you're dealing with a sports injury or joint pain, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is the place to go. Their expert team specializes in getting you back to your active lifestyle, whether it's physical therapy, surgery, or pain management. With advanced care and personalized treatment plans, they're committed to helping you heal right and fast. For expert orthopedic care that you could trust, visit Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine today. Just to get started by heading to their website, cvosm.com. All right, let's we'll get back to some more baseball talk. We spent the entire morning so far talking Brewers baseball, heading into the All-Star break and such. So we'll get back to more Brewers chats and such. A lot of excitement, no question about it, surrounding the crew right now. Switching gears here just for a little bit, because we do have training camp starting up here in a matter of days for the Green and Gold pack, the quarterbacks and injured players and rookies, I believe it is. Reports on Friday, and then next Wednesday. Next Wednesday is the first practice. Already the first practice. Jeez. I know we're talking about practice, but whenever time we get to like training camp and I'm like, oh, fall is going to be in the air before you know it. It's going to be here before you know it. So we've been doing a little bit of a kind of storyline countdown series with Packers training camp, and some of the storylines that I think are maybe the biggest ones heading into preseason and training camp and such. And we've talked about the offensive line. We've talked about defensive line, corners, wide receivers, and such. I want to highlight two of them today, just to play a little bit of a catch up game here. But I want to talk about the tight ends, and then I want to talk about play callers, talking Rich Bisaccia, Jeff Hafley, and Matt LaFleur. Let's begin with the tight ends. And when we talk about the tight ends, we begin with number 85, and that's Tucker Kraft. And Tucker Kraft is entering year 3 with, I think, some high expectations. High expectations for himself, high expectations from the team, high expectations from the fan base. There's a lot of talk from the Packers themselves about getting Tucker Kraft more involved in the offense. There is a narrative from the fan base that wants to see Tucker Kraft more involved in the offense. You go back to the conclusion of last year after the postseason game, it was Tucker Kraft that was pretty vocal after the loss and talked about stepping up his leadership and just overall the team-wise taking a step this year. Throwing phrases out there like saying, we need to wake up. And this was a guy that just got done with his second year. So I think when we look at Tucker Kraft this year, there's a few different things we could pay attention to with him entering this season. One, are we going to see him take a step in leadership? Now, we may not see everything involved in that leadership. A lot of us as fans, we just see what's on TV, or we read what the media has to say, some quotes, or hear him talking that. We're not going to know a lot of the stuff that's behind the closed doors, in the locker room, in the meetings, that sort of stuff. So we may not see everything from a leadership standpoint from Tucker Kraft. But if there is opportunities that are out there, are we going to see him take that step, that next step in being a leader on this team that he himself noted after that playoff loss, saying he's got to step up or he's going to step up and be a leader? We saw a lot of positive things from Kraft last year that I think has a ton of people excited about his possibilities within this offense and on this team. And I know tight ends usually take a couple years to really grow into a top tight end in this game. George Kittle didn't come in right away and become an all-pro. Travis Kelce didn't come in right away and become an all-pro. Not everybody's going to be like a Brock Bowers from the Raiders last year, who was just flipping amazing as a rookie, or even a Sam Laporta for Detroit that came in right away. Maybe Tucker Kraft is one of those guys that, okay, year 3, it's going to be kick it in the gear here. And it's not to say he was bad last year or anything like that. It's just year 2, we saw some glimpses and we saw some flashes like, oh, here we go. And we wanted more of that. We thought he should have gotten more. We thought he should have deserved more, and he probably should have. But he's also a great blocking tight end. He gets open. He's a great receiver. He's got a lot of those tools that we want to see from an all-around good tight end. So there's this focus on him. There's this spotlight on him. Like, can he be that guy this year? Can he almost elevate to a top tier tight end right now? For example, if you go to ESPN and they're doing their top 10 rankings from, evaluators across the league, Tucker Kraft was not listed as a top 10 tight end. In fact, he wasn't really in the honorable mentions either. He was in a department that, got votes. But you're talking about maybe not a top 12, not viewed as a top 12, 13 tight end in the league right now. But I do believe Tucker Kraft has the ability, has the talent to become a top 10 tight end in this league. And I believe he is in a system that could allow him to become a top tight end in the league. The only concern I would have is he going to get enough opportunities to be viewed as a top tight end in this league? And what is Matt LaFleur and what is Adam Stanovich and the offensive staff? What are some of the game plans? What are some of the calls, or how are they going to develop an offense to kind of maybe suit 85, or to really have 85 be a focal point of the offense? And will they? Will they make 85 a big focal? They're saying all the right things, but will Tucker Kraft really be a main focal point? I hope so. And I think a lot of fans are hoping that's going to be the case. I really do. Because I think he could be a really good player. I think he's already a good player, but I think he could take it up another notch this year with more opportunities. And I hope he gets them. Because I think he's a playmaking tight end. And then behind that, we talk a lot about the receivers and, who's the number one receiver? It's Jane Reed, Romeo Dobbs. You got Matthew Golden coming in now. Dontavian Wicks, Savion Williams is an intriguing piece. But I think when you talk about number one receivers, I think you do have to put tight ends into that equation. Because for the longest time, I mean, your number one receiver for Kansas, number one receiver for Kansas City was Travis Kelce, and he's tight end. You can make the same case for Rob Gronkowski with the Patriots when they were winning all those Super Bowls. Your top target can be a tight end. And I think a lot of times we tend to focus on the number one receiver, the number one target always being a wide receiver. But that can be your tight end. So when we talk about, do the Packers need a number one wide receiver, or who is their number one wide receiver? I think you throw Tucker Kraft into that equation. They're not the flashiest all the time, right? They're not going to make those, not all the time. Some can, but they're not going to make the big splashy down the field type of throw or catches and make those big plays. But they can be a number one target. And I think Tucker Kraft should be a part of that equation, a part of that group that could be that number one target for Jordan Love. And then you look behind him, you got another tight end entering his third year, and that's Luke Musgrave. Now, Luke Musgrave last year didn't get a ton of playing time. He was hurt. He missed some games. And when he was back, I mean, he finished with 7 catches on the year. Not a ton of work, right? I mean, he started off the season, played the month of September, but then missed a ton of time, came back late December. And just really never, I mean, it was almost kind of a wash year, if you will. But this is a guy that you look at what he brings to the table. You're talking about a 6'6", 250-plus tight end that has some speed to him. And I hope, even with the emergence of Tucker Kraft, I hope that Luke Musgrave is still kind of viewed as a potential piece within this offense too, because I still think he can bring something to this offense. I think I think he has those traits. I think he has the ability to also bring something. Tucker Kraft, there's no question, there's no debate, there's no position battle. He is the number one tight end. But in my opinion, there is no reason why we can't have certain formations, certain play calls, certain play sheets where, all right, we're going to run a 2 tight end set with both these guys. And we're going to have some plays for Luke Musgrave because he has those unique traits and knows that talent to be able to provide something to this offense. Maybe it's in the red zone, using his height, using his athleticism with that, creating mismatches. I mean, when you got 2 tight ends, Tucker's 6'5", you got Musgrave at 6'6". And I've said this before, and I'll say it again a little bit more coming up with when we talk about LaFleur and play callers. But if I'm LaFleur and I'm looking at some of the guys I have on my roster from a pass catching scenario, I'd be like a mad scientist in the lab right now. Like I'd be Dr. Frankenstein or something like that, and just having a wee old time of coming up with some play designs. I mean, for crying out loud, think about this. Okay, I got Josh Jacobs in the backfield. I got a Tucker Kraft and a Luke Musgrave, a 6'5" and a 6'6". 6'6" speedy tight end. I could put those two there. I've got Josh Jacobs there. I could throw in Matthew Golden with his speed. Throw in a little Jaden Reed if I want to. I mean, you've got this ability to come up with some unique and creative stuff, and I hope they do that, even with Tucker Kraft, with the bona fide number one tight end he is. I hope we still see Luke Musgrave involved in this offense because I think he can still provide something. I like this 1-2 punch. I still think there's potential with this. Is it a great, I mean, you talk about some great 1-2 punches in the tight end group in that. They're entering their third year. They still got a lot of room to grow and get better. But I hope both of these guys get plenty of opportunities to make an impact on the offense because I think they can. And especially if there is a little bit of question marks with some of the receivers yet until they grow, or maybe, gosh forbid, that they're struggling with drops again. Let's get the tight ends more involved in this thing. Let's get a little bit more play action going here and get those tight ends. Create those mismatches with those tight ends, for crying out loud. I mean, there's no reason why a Musgrave and a Tucker Kraft can't beat a linebacker. Or somehow, if you can create a mismatch where one of those guys is going to have a corner lined up against them, you feed that all day, every day. You have the ability to, with the amount of athletes and your pass catchers and with Josh Jacobs, you have the ability to create some of those mismatches. And two guys that I think are going to benefit or have an edge in creating some of those mismatches are going to be the 2 tight ends. And, you look at the next 2 on the depth chart, if you will. And this isn't a knock on either one of these guys, but, Ben Sims, your third tight end. Again, you're talking about a big tight end, a tall tight end, right? I mean, he's also a younger tight end entering his third season. You're talking about a 6'5", 250-pound guy. As a third tight end, cool. And again, I'm not trying to knock the kid or anything like that, but I mean, you look at this group and you could say, wow, they got some big dudes at tight end, and they got some speed too, considering the position they play. But Ben Sims probably going to be mostly a special teams guy. Once in a while, he'll come in for certain offensive packages, and then same with John Fitzpatrick. I mean, back end depth fillers, and this is a guy too, dude, 6'7". 6'7". So don't tell me that you don't have the potential to create some of those mismatches with your tight ends. Remember, for like the longest time, their Green Bay's tight ends were like 6'2", 6'3". And it's like, man, we need to get some height. Green Bay got height. They got some height with their tight ends. 6'5", 6'6", 6'5", 6'7". You can create something. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able, if you got to make a red zone throw within the 5, there should be no reason why you can't throw a couple jump balls to these guys and just tell them to out jump that linebacker or out jump that 5'11" corner, for crying out loud. You got some height in this tight end group. Utilize it. Why not? Why wouldn't you? And that goes into the next storyline for me heading into training camp. You know, with the tight ends, are we going to see a year 3 jump from a lot of these guys? Especially Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave. Can he stay healthy and maybe make a jump? And that's all going to, or I should say all, but a lot will depend on how they're utilized, how they're featured within the offense, and that starts with Matt LaFleur, the play caller. Yes, Adam Stenavich is the offensive coordinator. He's going to have input. He's going to have a say. But Matt LaFleur is the one that calls the plays. And how much is he going to feature Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave? How is he going to, quote-unquote, spread the ball around? You know, Matt LaFleur, after the season was over with, after that playoff loss, there was a big chunk of the fan base that, and still are, not on the Matt LaFleur bandwagon. Not on that train. They feel like maybe Green Bay needs to move on from him. Now, I personally don't think Matt LaFleur is like on the hot seat. Yeah, maybe the Heat, but I would say he is entering, I would say, kind of a pivotal year, because I think a big part of it is we want to see, okay, continued growth, continued development, continuing to adapt as a play caller, continuing to get better or getting better, because I feel like he's got a unique skill group on the offensive side, whether it's, you know, your wide receivers with everybody that we just mentioned. You do have Josh Jacobs coming back. You got these tight ends. You've invested a little bit in the offensive line. You've got Jordan Love now as your quarterback. You know, this kind of goes hand in hand too. Everybody's saying Jordan Love regressed last year. You know, Matt LaFleur's got to be looking at this. One, I would be, again, excited if I was an offensive-minded play caller and I'm looking at some of the athletes I have on my offensive roster and I'm like, now we're cooking. Why wouldn't you be excited to come up with certain play sheets and play calls and that sort of stuff? But it's also going to be on Matt LaFleur's shoulders to get the most out of these guys, to get the most out of Jordan Love, to get the most out of Josh Jacobs again, to get the most out of these receivers, these tight ends. Is he going to be able to come up with these game plans? Matt LaFleur is a great play caller when he's in that zone, and we've seen it a few times, but when he's in that zone where he just, it feels like he's one step ahead of the defensive coordinator. We saw that at the second half of 2023 when Green Bay went on that run and made the postseason, goes down and beats Dallas, and, you know, those sorts of games. It just felt like Matt LaFleur was one step ahead of the opposing defensive coordinator. And when he's in that rhythm, dude's on fire. It's like, you know, a basketball player that's just on fire and can't miss a shot. That's what it felt like with LaFleur in certain stretches. Like he's just a step ahead. That stretch, those 2 weeks earlier in the season with no Jordan Love, he was fantastic. But if you're on the side where you kind of criticize Matt LaFleur a little bit in terms of consistency, questionable decisions, and all that, you got an argument to make. I'm not denying that. I'm not saying Matt LaFleur is the best coach in the league right now. He definitely needs to grow in certain game situations and certain, you know, like questionable decisions at high juncture points in the game and that. And I hope he does that this year. I mean, as a coach, you hear coaches all the time saying, continue to get better. I guarantee you Andy Reid still looks at ways to get better, to continue to improve. I mean, for the longest time, What was Andy Reid's knock? Timeouts, game management, clock management. That was a knock on Andy Reid for the longest time. Every coach is going to have issues that they're going to continue to work on no matter how long they've been in this league. But I would say that this is a year, too, that a lot of people want to see improvement, growth from Matt LaFleur as a head coach. As a head coach, maybe, he's got the play caller title with him, too, but just overall game management, understanding situations, that sort of stuff. So I don't think like Matt LaFleur is going to get fired unless something drastic happens this year where it's just god awful. But I think it is fair to say, okay, want to see a little bit more. Want to see some more growth from him. I want to see a never-ending playbook where he's always keeping guys guessing. This is where I give Andy Reid a ton of credit every single year. It's like the book should be out on him with this offense. Yet, nobody can stop him. Yes, it helps to have a Patrick Mahomes, a once-in-a-generation type of quarterback, and a great tight end in Travis Kelce. But he has adapted to his players, and he keeps teams guessing. And that's what the great play callers do. And that's last year, Green Bay was very run-focused. What is going to be the case this year for Green Bay? How is he going to keep opposing defensive coordinators guessing week in and week out? This is an insanely tough division and an insanely tough schedule outside of the division. Matt LaFleur is going to be a key person to determine the success of this Packers season from his play calling and from his head coaching decisions. He is going to be a very key person in determining the outcome of a lot of these games. And these are some tough, you-know-what games on the schedule. And I think he's going to be a little bit more under the spotlight because of that, too. How has he grown as a head coach heading into this year and as a play caller? That's what I'm focusing on. And then Jeff Hafley, staying with the play callers, entering year 2, defensive coordinator. I still say, like last year, that if he made leaps and bounds improvement on defensive coordinator, he's going to be a head coach in the league. And he got some interviews, and I still feel that way. I feel like you are going to continue to see him getting mentioned about possible head coaching interviews or openings, jobs. I look at this now. Last year, given what Hafley was given with injuries and such, I thought he did a really good job. And I think it's fair to say he probably didn't get to do exactly what he wanted to do on the defensive side. After the season was over with, you kind of heard him talk a little bit more, wanted to play more guys in coverage, wants to get home with 4 or 5 guys on the line, and they couldn't consistently do that. And then you factor in the injuries to the secondary they had. I mean, game plans were adjusted on the fly during those games, depending on who was hurt and who was available. And when you factor all that stuff in and the lack of production up front, when you factor all that stuff in, I thought he did a really good job. I mean, turnovers, one of the tops in the league at creating turnovers. Xavier McKinney signing was, between that and Josh Jacobs, 2 of the best, if not the best free agent signings and impacts on their teams. Then last year, Saquon, part of that, though, too. But now heading into this year, there might be a little bit more tape on what Jeff Hafley wants to do. But I think the big focus on him now is okay, your front office didn't get you another pass rusher. Your front office brought you Hobbs for the corner, but you lose Jair. You look at it from a defensive standpoint, they didn't, outside of Hobbs, the free agency, they didn't bring in a lot of defensive help to help you day one. I mean, the draft, your first 3 picks were all offense, right? Matthew Golden, Belton the tackle, Savion Williams. So you're counted on for growth from your other guys, from the guys that were on your squad last year. Edrin Cooper. I mean, there's entering a year 2, and believe me, Edrin Cooper is going to be one of the storylines as we get closer to this thing. But there's a lot on Jeff Hafley, a lot on his shoulders this year to use essentially the same guys he had last year and continue to get better at the defense. Can he do it? Now that he's more familiar with these guys, now that his players are more familiar with him, a big thing will be if they can just stay flipping healthy. But are they going to be able to generate a rush with Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, Lucas Van Ness, Rashawn Gary? And if they can't, then what does Hafley do? How does he adjust? Does he get away from what his core philosophy, what his core thing is that he wants to do on the defensive side, and that's drop extra guys back in coverage? So you're going to bring more to try to generate that pressure. Then you're potentially putting out on an island Keyshawn Nixon going up against like a Justin Jefferson, a Carrington Valentine, or Hobbs or whatever. And we haven't, we talked a little bit about Edrin Cooper, but you got Quay Walker, you got Isaiah McDuffie coming back and such. I mean, I'm excited to see a year 2 Jeff Hafley run defense. I'm excited to see growth. And I think there is an expectation, or there is a thought that there was a lot of good stuff in year 1. Just wait for year 2 now. And I get that, and I understand it, and I would agree with it. Like, okay, I'm excited for year 2. Let's just stay healthy. Green Bay relied on a lot of rookies last year. Evan Williams, Edrin Cooper, Javon Bullard. You switched from a 3-4 to a 4-3. Maybe there was some adjustment there. All right, these guys, they're a little bit more accustomed to it now. I am expecting an overall more consistent and a little bit better of a defensive performance. I think the biggest thing, though, is they've got to stay healthy at a lot of their key spots. Odds are, yeah, they're going to have a guy miss some time, a couple guys miss some time. But are they in a better position to where if a sub has to come in, that they can, you know what, next man up, we're not changing what we do? Are they in a little bit better position? Are they more confident in that? Is Jeff Hafley more confident in that now? And then you look at special teams. Rich Bisaccia, also assistant head coach and such. A lot of fans, at least from the ones I've seen, not happy with Rich Bisaccia right now. Especially when you look at, coverages. I mean, the Bears game exposed a lot of it, right? But you look at certain other stuff on the special teams. I think you give Rich Bisaccia a tip of the cap and a little bit of credit for the job that he has done with Daniel Whalen as a punter. Daniel Whalen, I think, is turning into a very, very good punter. They bring back McManus, who settled that kicking situation. That one's tough to gauge before McManus, the whole like Anders Carlson and, just was that more of a front office thing or the front office is like, this is what you're going to get, work with it. I would imagine he had some input in Anders getting drafted because of his familiarity with the family, but I don't know that 100%. I don't think we will fully know that. But you bring in a veteran, McManus, kicking situation, settle down a little bit. But then you look at, you got Mecole Hardman and Keyshawn Nixon, 2 very good returners. If I'm Bisaccia, and we know a game can turn on a big return, punt, kick, whatever. How do I get those guys to maximize the amount of time that they can bring the ball back, get the ball in return on a punt? Because I want that ball in their hands and trying to make some big plays with some big returns. I mean, we're not talking about taking one to the house every time. But if you're returning a kick, a punt, let's say, and you could get it out to the 40, 45 and create a short field, I mean, your offense is already at such a huge advantage where the defense is playing on its heels. A big return, punt return to midfield. So if I'm Bisaccia, I'm like, how do I get this? Do I put more pressure on a punter? How much, the protection, the coverage, that has to improve. Situational awareness has to improve. Being aware of like, hey, you know what? We can't forecast it, we can't predict it, but a team might pull off something like what the Bears did with that kick return, the complete misdirection and the complete, you know, just not paying attention or focusing on. I mean, I don't know what you want to call it, but that has definitely got to get better. Situational awareness on the returns and the coverages. That is something I hope Bisaccia is working on with this group. I understand special teams are sometimes this is who you're dealt with. This is what you got to work with. It's bottom end roster guys making the roster just because of special teams play. We saw when Rich Bisaccia first came aboard, it really seemed like Green Bay was focusing on bringing in players to play special teams. Kind of got away from that a little bit. This is the guys that you're going to be called upon. How can you get the most out of those guys? How can you get the most out of a back end, bottom of the depth chart corner, wide receiver, a John Fitzpatrick on the tight end depth chart? How do you get those guys ready? And I challenge some of those guys, though, too, on special teams. If you're a corner, of course you want to be on the field on the defensive side. But if you're on the bottom of the depth chart, you play every special teams play like that's your Super Bowl play. Because if you're going to make plays on special teams, the more you're going to get noticed. Make your plays. Make those plays. Get noticed that way. You might only get a handful of plays each game. And if you're not maximizing the effort on that, dude, what are you doing? All right, we got to take a quick break. Running out of time here, so we'll do that. We'll wrap up the second hour. I believe we've got JC and EC, Justice Cleveland, who will be joining us for a little bit in the final hour. So be good to catch up with him. It's been a little bit. All right, quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Just a couple minutes left to the top of the hour. So coming up next hour, we'll get back to some more Brewers talk. Plenty of Brewers to chat about. 56-40 at the break, the most wins in franchise history before the All-Star break. Final call for any I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, fill in the blanks. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. We'll talk a little bit more about Mizorowski. 72% of the voters saying no, he does not belong in the All-Star game. What side of the aisle are you on for that one? You can give us your thoughts by chiming in and hitting us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Or if you would rather comment on the video streams, you can do that on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch or Instagram as well. So we'll get back to some more Brewers talk next hour as we are now into the All-Star break where the Brewers are the top wildcard team and just one game back from the Cubs for first place in the division. So still kind of boggles my mind here when we say that the Brewers have the most wins in franchise history entering the All-Star break. This team accomplished that. Not 2011, not 2018. This team, 56 wins right now. Man, that's pretty. And they've been, since May, one of the best teams in all of baseball when you look at certain stats or records and such. It's been, man, after that first month and a half, just a completely different team. All right, 2 hours in, we got one more to go. News updates. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Final hour kicking off right now on this Monday morning of July 14th. Coming up, we're going to talk some more Brewers here as the Brewers entering the All-Star break now. We're officially at that point in the season, the ceremonial second half of this Brewers season. But it's been an eventful first half of this Brewers season. I mean, the ebbs and flows, the highs and the lows. I mean, it's been all over the place. If you had one word to kind of describe the ceremonial I say ceremonial because we know it's not mathematically a first half. It's mathematically not the first half. But if you had to use like one word or a phrase to maybe describe what we have seen so far, what we've gone through, or how you would just plain old describe this half of the Brewer season, how would you describe it? What would the word be? I mean, it's been nuts, crazy, awesome, fun, just kind of all over the place right now. And it's still like I was saying before at the top of the hour, it still just kind of boggles my mind that this is a Brewers team that is 16 games above 500. And it's the most wins in franchise history as they head into the All-Star break. And that's kind of where I'm not saying, but I'm just saying is I'm not saying that this is the best first half Brewers team that I've seen. I don't want to say best team ever because we're only like 96 games into this thing, so I don't think that's fair to say best team ever. So I'm not saying this is the best first half Brewers team that I have ever seen. But I'm just saying it's probably the most surprising when you factor in all the things, everything with this team, the injuries that they have had with the starting rotation to begin the year, the way the season began at the beginning of the year. Not replacing Willy Adames, essentially. Who's going to be the guy that has to do that? Well, it's got to be maybe like Garrett Mitchell. Garrett Mitchell's barely played. And here we are, you throw in all that stuff, and then the run that they've been on since mid-May, essentially. The run that they have been on right now has just been, if you're a fan, I don't know how you don't get excited about it. I don't know why it hasn't been so fun for you. Like, why you have not been enjoying this. You should be, because it's been pretty freaking awesome. So I'm not saying this is the best first half Brewers team that I've seen, but I'm just saying it's probably the most surprising. Factoring in everything and how the season began, easily surpassing the expectations that I think all of us had at this point. Yes, they're still only in second place, but you give credit to the Cubs. That's a good team. They got a good offense over there in Chicago. You're just one game back from them, though, and you're the top wildcard team. And, for the longest time at the beginning of the year, too, a lot of us thought, hey, the only way to make the postseason out of this division is probably to win the division. That's not the case, it looks like right now. It could change. It could change when it's all said and done. But when you look at this, Cubs are in first in the division, and the Brewers are the top wildcard team right now. And what I still think is a talented National League. I think you're going to see some teams be aggressive before the trade deadline in the National League. Whether, it's the Cubs trying to find another starting pitcher or two. And if we're just talking about the National League, the Giants, they're on the outside, half game outside of a wild card spot. Are they going to try to find moves to get back in that thing? The Cardinals are only 1.5 back right now from a wild card spot. You got the Mets in there, the Padres also. There's going to be teams that are going to be looking to make moves. Teams we're pretty confident that we know that they're going to make some moves. But are the Brewers going to be one of those teams? That's the big question now in the next couple of weeks here. Will the Brewers make a move before the deadline? A Brewers team that has tied for the fourth most wins in Major League Baseball. not the National League, Major League Baseball. Tigers alone, 59 wins. Dodgers at 58. Cubs at 57. Brewers and Astros, 56. 56 and 40 for both those teams. Man, I think it's probably still the same. The needs that we want to see from this Brewers team, right? It's probably another bat or two, probably another power bat to insert in the middle of that lineup. But are they going to make that move? Are they going to make that move that moves the needle? Or maybe you don't think they should make a move that moves the needle because you don't want to mess with the mojo and the chemistry of this team. I'm sure that'll be a discussion coming up at some point here too. So, Vinny Rotino covers the Brewers. You probably hear him on some of the calls and such. Posted this tweet just a little bit ago. The Brewers had a record of 21 and 25 after the game on May 17th. They were the 23rd best record in Major League Baseball. Since then, they are 35 and 15. That's a 700 win percentage, which is best in Major League Baseball. And they have a run differential of a plus 91, 25 runs better than the second best team on that list in that time as well. That's the type of run, this awesome run that this team has been on. Yeah, what word would you use or what phrase would you use to describe it? Probably a lot of good ones and probably some words we can't use on the air because you're a little pumped up about it. So, all right, really quick break because JC's here. So I'm going to go open the door for Justice Cleveland, sports director, WEAU 13 News. We'll talk some more Brewers with him coming up after these quick words. Here in the flesh is the one and only JC in the EC.
I've crawled
Justice Cleveland.
out from behind the tree I've been sleeping for the last
Johnny Appleseed?
two.
Or is that Johnny Appleseed?
It was the guy with the beard.
Wasn't it Johnny Appleseed?
No,
Maybe
he just
not.
planted Appleseed.
Did he just plant Appleseed? Okay. I don't know. I don't know my kids.
Rip Van Winkle.
Thank you.
Rip Van Winkle.
Thank you.
We're doing great today.
Yeah. Hot start right now. So, well, how have you been, man?
Good.
Yeah.
Busy.
Yeah.
I was just telling you, it's like I went from chasing everybody else's kids with sports for the prep season to chasing my own kids with all of their camps and everything else. Anybody out there, and those with it doesn't stop in the summer. It gets crazy.
Yep. And I think we're right in the middle of it all in the swing. We just got done with a tournament and got another one coming up next weekend too. So not this coming one, but the following one. So it's like, holy moly.
Yeah. My kids have tomorrow are looking forward to that humid and 90-degree and having to take their pictures for soccer before playing their games. So it's gonna be like 4 hours of them at the soccer.
Yeah.
And if you've been to the soccer park, there's a whole lot of shade there.
No, there isn't. So
more, props to my wife. Will be the one taking them there.
But glad that have you stop by here, because I mean, I want to talk some Brewers with you, dude. I know I keep saying this, but it still kind of boggles my mind to say that this is the team. This 2025 Brewers team is the team that has in franchise history, the most wins heading into the All-Star break.
I mean, think about probably the last time I really was here.
Yeah.
We were talking about like a must-have couple of series that they had at the end of May.
Yep.
Where we were just like, this could go either way. And it's funny because you talked about the Vinny Rotino tweet.
Yeah.
I was literally looking up on my phone and waiting for you to come unlock the door. That record, what it was from, and you're like, yeah, Vinny Rotino tweeted this out. They're 21 they were 21 and 25. I'm like, that's the exact same fact I was trying. Me and Vinny Rotino apparently are on the same wavelength there. But yeah, for them to be 35 and 15 in the last basically 2 months is insane. And it is maybe the most bewildering team. Last year was kind of a team where we were all surprised. This year, it's the same thing. It's just like, how have they done this? And it's just been guys living up to those expectations we knew they had. I think it's a guy like Freddie Peralta leading the league in wins.
Yep.
I don't think we had that on our bingo sheet.
I think that still kind of gets swept under the rug because the Mizorowski, talk, Brandon Woodruff coming back, and even
Quinn Priester,
and then even all their starters got hurt, and there's just Freddie cruising along, doing his thing right now. So,
and I think it was not, winning yesterday. I didn't get to see a lot of that one, but a start before where he was cruising, started throwing that junk ball. Which it's a compliment junk ball. Like he was throwing just off speed stuff that you haven't seen. You don't see a lot of starters anymore go with the, changing up those speeds as much. And I think he's found a different confidence this year that I think he's kind of been lacking. He's always been right there. I mean, he's an all-star before.
Yep.
But this year, it just seems like he's a leader now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if last year he had that bulldog mentality, but he goes out there and he's not just relying on the same stuff. He's throwing a whole. So right there, I mean, to have him be that franchise leader that you want him to be is great. The Mizorowski stuff has been awesome. And then the whole, I mean, hats off to that scouting staff and how they've been able to find these pitchers.
Yeah.
I mean,
and as Brandon calls kind of like that Area 51 pitching lab that nobody really knows a whole lot about that the Brewers have. So,
and if they see somebody out there that might not be having the success somewhere else, they bring them in.
Quinn Priester's that example, isn't it? When they brought him in, everybody's like, well, they spent too much, and they kept saying, we want to bring him into our system. Now he's 7-2 this year.
Yeah.
It's like something's working.
And then when they realize the pitcher's not working, and they can trade him to the White Sox in a deal that now looks heavily lopsided, at least.
Yeah.
Even if Andrew Vaughn does nothing else for the rest of the season,
he's won you already a couple games and such. So.
Exactly. It might be the big difference between where you're at in the playoffs just because he won a couple games there. And it's a guy who was a 3rd overall pick. There's talent there. And sometimes it just takes a little bit to unlock that or get in a different situation. And it seems like he's flourishing with the Brewers. He's probably just so grateful to have the chance. Now he's going from one of the worst teams record-wise to now one of the best top 4 teams in the league, which is just crazy
that rejuvenates people. I mean, it really does. And I mean, we talk about too, like a lot of drafts or players going into bad situations, and the players that go into those really good teams and or well-run organizations, it makes differences.
Oh, it really does. And I
So,
think to a T, people would tell you that the Brewers
mhm.
love the Brewers organization that have played for. Maybe not Jesse Winker, but most people have come away with very positive vibes for playing for the Brewers and just
Mhm.
yeah, I mean it's fun. It's what you want as a fan to see
Mhm.
this team so competitive, winning games, coming back,
Yeah.
getting dominant pitching for. I mean, the pitching right now is as good as I've seen in my lifetime. I wasn't aware enough in the 80s to really know their pitching situation, but
Mhm.
I mean, you go back to the glory days like the 2018. That was a good team, obviously, with CC and Ben
Mhm.
Sheets and Giovanni when he was healthy.
Right.
But this might be the best we've seen the whole staff,
Mhm.
and it's amazing because it's a lot of guys that there's not a lot of big names there,
Right.
but they're doing the job and they
Mhm.
just keep finding a way. And we could talk about the bats and like the guys that they're throwing up on that lineup that are finding a way to get it done.
Mhm.
It's nice to see your standard, the guys the Christian Yelich's and Yelich coming back. I mean, guy who would have been on verge of another All-Star game. I feel like this year the way he's been playing.
Yeah, if he didn't have the slow start, I mean, you look at last year, he was a starter in the All-Star game. I think he only had 10 home runs at the break, but his average was over 300, and right
Yeah.
now he's got 19.
And we're seeing these
So-
guys warm up that weren't playing as. I think of Joey Ortiz, not so much this week, but last week, where he was coming up with clutch hit after clutch hit.
Mhm.
I mean, Contreras, what he's been doing with a broken digit,
Yeah.
and still going out there and being able to put up the numbers and be your catcher. I'm really, it's been a lot of fun. And then Sal's been the most consistent guy on the team.
Mhm.
And
The GOAT, I
yeah,
call him. He's my guy. He's my guy. I'm a big Sal Frelick guy, so, oh, yeah.
I mean, you were talking before the break about an addition. I could see a bat getting in there, but
Mhm.
you can't come the way they've been throwing these guys in there and finding ways. You just fear what has been the biggest thing that's happened to these Brewers teams maybe the last 7-8 years is that dry stretch
Mhm.
where they all of a sudden that offense just goes away. And we've seen it. We saw it in the beginning of the year at times. And now
Mhm.
they've been just great in finding ways. They play small ball better than any team in the league.
Yep.
And
Yeah, they're manufactured. They're like, what, top 8, top 10 scores or runs scored towards the bottom in home runs, but they're manufacturing them elsewhere.
And I don't feel like there's a team that's told to hit to, coach to hit to the opposite field more
Mhm.
than the Brewers. And I think you see that with Christian Yelich.
Yeah.
How many of his home runs have been opposite field home run? That's when he's at his best, is when he's powering that ball to the opposite field, because he'll get into one every once in a while and crush it
Right.
with a pole. But man, when he's hitting into the opposite field, what do you do with a guy who has the
Mhm.
power to hit 40 home runs?
And when Contreras is doing that for those gaps in the double too,
Yep.
going to right center, I mean, then that he's feeling pretty good probably.
It's just this greasy, grimy team.
Mhm.
And that's what we like as Brewers fans. And again, Pat Murphy. I mean, the 2 years so far.
I mean, what can you say?
Yeah. I mean, this is a guy who is just, I don't know. It's just perfect fit. It
Mhm.
really feels like a perfect fit. He
Yep.
just, he embraces that working class kind of mantra that you get with Milwaukee. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Yep. So the big debate, did Mizorowski deserve to get the All-Star nod? I'm actually surprised that our poll had 70% saying no, he doesn't. So
I think I
get both
I
sides.
say no.
Yeah.
I say no, just because 5 starts.
Mhm.
It's just that's, I mean, if he had been, and not that he hasn't put up great numbers, but outstanding numbers.
Mhm.
If he had like a 20 strikeout game and then followed that up with like a 1-hitter and stuff,
Mhm.
it's just a lot for guys who've pitched 3 times that game.
Mhm.
Those games are ready
Right.
this season to be left off. So I can see where teams are a little upset that, hey, this guy has been doing this all season. This guy comes in for 5 starts.
Mhm.
I feel like it's a lot of Rob Manfred seems to be reacting maybe a little too much to the social media.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, this guy's. It's like, yeah, it's 5 games though,
Mhm.
and and this is nothing against Jacob Mizorowski, and I've heard a lot of that no one's blaming him for this.
Right.
He just went out there and did his job and got selected. It's not that. It's just like it feels a little just too quick to pull the trigger on that when you have guys who have been out there the whole year. So that's why the backlash is happening.
Right. Like I understand it from a business side.
Right. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's drawing the attention. It's drawing the that, and then if you're, I call it a purist. I don't know if that's the right way. No, he doesn't deserve to be in there. But I'll also say this: for the amount of times we've criticized the Brewers not getting enough attention, I'll take this win.
Yeah, 3 pitchers.
Yeah, I'll take this win. That Major League Baseball gave us this one, so I'll take that one for a little bit. So.
Back when they were getting like the pity guy, I was, the early 2000s when they would be like, "Hey, well, here's your one All-Star." So, yeah, I'll take it as a fan, but again, I completely understand where people are like, "This is just too quick to throw him in there." But I mean, I think that Kershaw start easily it brought so many eyes. And him to do what he did against the Dodgers. They're probably sitting there in the league office like, we got to find a way to get him in.
I mean, it's kind of like, a little bit, not exactly the same, but like Kershaw making it as a Legends pick,
right?
That sort of thing.
But those legend picks have been happening for ever.
Right.
Like even if they're not officially a Legends pick, there's been guys who are making it on reputation alone. But Kershaw deserves it. I mean,
and that's the thing. He's been pitching well this year too.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like he's like 1-7 with like a 7 ERA. This guy, dueled as well as he could with Mizorowski at that point, and still is a good, competent starting pitcher. Anybody would take him.
And I think it's the All-Star game. It's all this is the other point too. Like I was glad to see. I might sound kind of weird, but so obviously some of the Phillies players are upset that none of their pitchers got in. But I'm glad players are upset because at least that means an All-Star game still means something to one sport.
Yeah.
Like I've heard some people use the analogy of like, well, this is like a quarterback, the 5th quarterback getting into the Pro Bowl. I would disagree with that because a lot of those times those quarterbacks don't want to play.
Right. Did that 5th quarterback go 5-1 as a starter and throw like 17 touchdowns and one? Then I think you probably would get. There's been guys.
It's not like Tyler Huntley getting selected to the Pro Bowl a couple years ago. This is different.
No, exactly. There's been guys that have played 8 games and had second half of the NFL season that have ended up making the Pro Bowl. So this is nothing. Yeah, that's nothing new compared in sport wise about that.
Yep. But I was just glad. I'm like, okay, good, because it still means something then. Where these players are a little upset. I'm like, good, because I still think baseball, when it comes to the All-Star game, baseball is still the most, how do I want to say this, prestigious one? Or
I feel like it is. I think it's them and then the NBA. Pro Bowl's done.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can ever do to, I don't think you can bring it back.
Like I give credit to the NHL. What they did last year, they figured out something that worked.
Yes. Yeah. Good point.
And I don't know if the NBA one will work that way. I know they want to do the American and World. I don't think it'll have the same rivalry effect as hockey, the NHL did last year. I want them to try it, but I don't think if they have the expectation, hey, we're going to be the same as the NHL, that's different.
I think those hockey guys, though, are almost, it's a different mindset. That was like an Olympic game to them. Whereas, and it was, I don't think you get that same mindset.
I agree
with these other sports.
I agree. Yep.
And it was just a different setup for the NHL too. The way they did it compared to like an All-Star game. And
yeah, the 4 nations and that.
Yeah, I think that's the way to. I mean, if you're the NHL, do it every year. I know you're probably afraid that it's gonna lose its luster,
but I think you ride the hot wave right now if you're the NHL.
Yeah, you see it and see if it does lose it. Like I would ride it that way instead of. It's like the world, like I don't think the World Baseball Classic. You can't do that every year. It just wouldn't work. But yeah, so I think it'll be fun to see this All-Star game again. It's an All-Star game, but it's still it's got a little more to it than those other sports
because it still means something to be named that starting pitcher too for the All-Star game, right? I mean that's still a big deal, and it still means something to that. Whereas like Pro Bowl, does it mean anything if you're the starting quarterback? No.
Just because they would have named Mizorowski the starting pitcher. That would have been the end of the end.
Right. So since Paul Skeens is the starting one, Dave Roberts just has to throw Mizorowski in right after him and go power.
Then go Kershaw.
Yep.
I mean, how many all-star pitchers did he pitch against? You could just every one of those pitchers has to pitch in order around him.
Right. So, but I mean, gosh, there's so much power in that bullpen too, or on that whole pitching staff, really, for the Brewers. And then Quintana goes out there, and it's like completely different contact ground ball pitcher. So,
which I still love. That's why I loved like the Freddie Peralta throwing like the
Mm-hmm.
90 per hour, just fastball down the middle, and the guys are like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why I think there's still room for that in this game, because
Mm-hmm.
guys are so used to seeing heat, nasty.
Well,
Like-
what they say, what major league hitters can hit a fastball, 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah.
If it's down the middle. Yeah.
But it's like you see still a guy like Hobie Milner still out there in the league,
Mm-hmm.
still finding success, because when it's a different kind of pitch,
Mm-hmm.
that's why, I mean, there are guys who made careers out of that forever. And I think, well, I wonder if we'll ever see that kind of come back
Mm-hmm.
as much as it used to, like the crafty lefty that.
Right. And I think, I don't know, not to take anything away from Mizorowski and his power, but, we talk about the 103-mile-an-hour fastball and all that. But when you throw a 90-some-mile-an-hour slider to go with it,
Yeah.
that's what makes him, I think, just adding those complementary pitches to that. It's the same with Paul Skeens. He throws like 7 different pitches, for crying out loud.
Right. And I think you need that, because you're not going to always be able to throw 103 miles per hour. Unless you're like Aroldis Chapman or
Right.
something. But you're not pitching every, you're not
Mhm.
pitching 5-6 innings at start. You're only coming in there for an inning or
Right.
two. So I think it's just, you're bound to probably have some kind of problem if you keep throwing that. It just doesn't look through all the pitchers
Mm-hmm.
in the last 20 years. Pretty much every one of them has had some kind of elbow or shoulder issue that they had to, just because you're throwing, there's so much torque on the body. I'm not trying to steal a spot from sports medicine here, but like,
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of sucks as a fan, to probably come to that conclusion. Like, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're all waiting something from Mizorowski.
The only thing you can hope is he's like Randy Johnson.
Right.
Because he's got the height.
Yep.
And where Johnson was just able to naturally kind of do that with his height and really avoid his whole career.
Yeah, until later in his career, he had Tommy John, but that he wasn't really Randy Johnson
right,
at that point.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, if you look at all the great strikeout pitchers and stuff in the last 20, 25 years, usually, more than a lot of them have had some kind of shoulder or elbow issue.
And then, he made his second start, but I mean, Brandon Woodruff, I know he only went 4 1/3, but 10 Ks. Saturday's game.
Like, he doesn't look like he's missed a beat. And I think that's credit to the Brewers just waiting until he got his good stuff back before they pulled the trigger on this. Because you could have got, he's able to start, let's throw him out there.
Right.
They're like, no. We want him to be 100% back.
Yep.
You want him in a mindset that he's 100% back.
Yep.
Because when you have a setback like he had, to be out as long as he had, that psychologically has got to play a huge factor in your rehab. And for him to come out there, and that's one of the best stories I think in Brewers history.
I agree.
Of a guy to be able, for them to hold on to him and just realize how important he was to that clubhouse.
Yep.
To that organization. Not that there's that many guys left from the team that, the teams he started with, but they realize, and that's just a great example to everybody in that locker room of, hey, look at what this guy did. This guy could have called it a career, but he's fought back to get back here. He wants to be a part of this team. We want you to be a part of this team. And if you don't, the Chicago White Sox are willing to take you.
And that's because rewinding it to when he got hurt, he was going to be a free agent. The Brewers didn't have to sign him.
No.
And they signed him to a 2-year deal and said, first year, it's going to be all rehab. And that was an injury too. That's not a guarantee. That injury was not a guarantee that he was going to be able to come back. Nobody knew.
No.
It was an unknown. And the fact that he's out there and doing what he's doing right now, it's going to be, not to get too far ahead, but he's going to be a free agent after this year. His fan opinion would be like, hey, Woody, maybe take a little less.
Hometown discount. Here,
right, exactly.
But if even it doesn't, I think
you can't be mad at him.
The Brewers would be like, hey, you know what? We loved you as a player.
Yep.
And we wanted you to find success. And if he could find success even after he will, if he keeps pitching like this.
Yep.
If it's with the Brewers or not. I feel like you got to have a small piece in your heart now for the Brewers for his sticking with them. So let's hope that that's the way it goes. But let's not think about that until November, when the Brewers have just hoisted that flag, the World Series championship flag. So
wouldn't that be something, man? But no, there's a lot to like with this team right now. I mean, there's whether it's the pitching, or, even like the bullpen part of it too, or the back end, or the starting pitching, and just timely hitting there. I don't know. I feel like they'll make a move. I just don't know if it's going to be that move that's going to move the needle that fans want at this point.
I don't think they're going to go for that.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's going to be. You don't want to mess with the chemistry. It's just the fun of this team is the scrappiness. But then again, as a front office guy, like you fear those droughts and like you're looking for somebody that can be in there. And with the DH now, you kind of have that ability to pick up a bat and not disrupt a whole lot. So I think they'll make a move, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think Mark Antanasio is going to make any blockbuster. Let's break the bank moves.
No.
And I haven't looked at the list of guys who are potential free agents next year, and that's where you usually get your. It's like who are they trying to dump salary wise, and who's. It'll be somebody from probably one of those lower contending teams that's not huge. I mean Andrew Vaughn. That to me is just the epitome of how this team's got something going on. When you can bring somebody off the scrap heap and they find a way to do it. That's kind of what you like to see with these kind of teams. So yeah, I don't envision anything big, but I hope to be wrong. It'd be great to see them, I just don't think there's like a CC trade out there that's going to completely change the team.
Right. And then that the Sal Frelick hamstring injury isn't too long of an ordeal, because if that is, then you really look at the outfield depth at that point.
Which is crazy, because I feel like when we started the season, we're like, hey, they have like 12 outfielders.
Yeah.
What are they?
Yeah, exactly.
Guys.
But now it's like maybe Yelich's going to play more left field now. And
we were talking about Yelich. There was a play a couple games ago where he had to hustle to first and like ran as fast as and you just hold that's a good sign that back looks like it's back to where it was, because you could see it I think in the first month. A lot of his when he was running with a guy that did not trust. Now you look at him and he looks like he's kind of back. That whole swinging wise, he hasn't been afraid about anything. It was just like the running to first, the running home, you'd see him kind of but now it kind of looks like he's got a lot more confidence in that. So that's great to see. So I don't, I'm not afraid of him in the outfield, but like that's what happens a lot of times is pulled hamstrings, just those little pulls when you're making that fast twitch move towards a ball. As an old man who has tried to sprint his son a couple years ago and lasted about 10 feet before my hamstring said, nope, you're done.
That's awesome.
These guys aren't awesome. These guys are in much better shape than me. But.
You know what's, and I know I always bring up this stat and people probably just kind of roll their eyes and such, but I always it's one of my most intriguing stats is I look at run differential among teams, and to see the Brewers, if my math is correct, 1, 2, with the 4th best run differential in all of baseball.
Right.
And they're not one of the top home run teams out there. I mean, they're a plus 81 right now. That the only teams higher than them are the Yankees at a plus 111, which bombs.
Yeah, exactly. All home runs there.
Cubs 119, again, a lot of bombs for them. And then the Tigers plus 87. And then you got the Brewers at a plus 81. That's a higher run differential than the Dodgers, than the Phillies, than the Mets, than the Padres. I mean, it's higher than those. Boston, Tampa Bay. It's thinking too much about trying to get a power bat.
That's the thing. They're finding ways. They can manufacture runs, and they do it in clutch situations all the time. Go back a couple days ago on Thursday when they walked, you looked like they were done, or Wednesday probably. It was Wednesday, where they looked like they were done.
Yeah.
You're in the 9th inning.
Right.
I was driving home and I got in, like they got the first out, and I'm like, well, you can't win them all. And then all of a sudden the alert comes on my phone. I'm like, well, maybe they can.
Well, I went outside with my kid because he wanted to play catch, and I'm like, yeah, they're not gonna win. And like a few minutes later, I walk back in, and all of a sudden, it's like, I'm like, what happened?
Exactly. Like, so that's the thing. This team has this little clutch gene in them right now.
And even Saturday's game against the Nationals,
Andrew Vaughn. I'm getting texts from the guys in the sports office like, Andrew Vaughn's the greatest Brewer of all time.
Build the statue right now, right?
They sent it early when he had his first 2 RBIs, and then like they sent it again. It's like all caps. So it's been fun to really just follow this team and see the guys. Every day is a different hero, it seems like. Or every week there seems like a guy that can is the clutch guy that week.
Yep, exactly. So,
well, I would say, do you still have that run differential up?
I do.
What's the Royals right now?
The Kansas City Royals minus 28.
Okay, are they still? What are they at record?
47 and 50.
Okay, they were at 500 with a minus run differential for a long. I mean,
That's
even
kind of like a Brewer stat. Then.
yeah, like their pitching staff has been outstanding. Their hitting
Mhm.
is kind of reminiscent of the Brewers in some of those lulls, but it's been the whole season.
That division, the AL Central, is the only division with one team with a positive run differential.
Right, and the Twins are a winning record.
-8.
What are
and
they
they're
winning record at this point? Or what are they at?
47 and 49.
Okay, but they're
Yep.
all right around.
Yep.
Like so, that's
Yep.
where like that AL Central, other than
Like
Tigers
Cleveland.
are long gone. I feel like at this point.
Yeah. Like Cleveland's, I mean, they're 46 and 49. So, I mean, 3 games from 500, but -45 in
I
run
think
differential.
in both leagues, the wild card
Mhm.
is going to be fun to watch. I think the AL really because it's just
Yeah.
that I know the
You
AL,
look at the AL East
yeah, like-
alone. Blue Jays still in first, and they got a +17 run differential. But
right. So that's a team that's not it's giving up a lot of runs,
Mhm.
but scoring a lot too.
Yep. And they've been so good at home this year. That's the thing. Then you got the Yankees, and then everybody, last week it was like, hey, can we get Alex Bregman for the Brewers? Red Sox going to be sellers, and
Yeah,
all they've done now since is won like 10 in a row, and they're back in it. So
right.
that's
Here, let's just. This is very. I know we're probably running out of time here, but I'm real quick. Let's go. Let's say the Brewers do what we want them to do.
Mhm.
Is the fact you see a lot of these, the run differential, make you think if the Brewers put 3 competent, Vigo, Peralta, Mizrahi, and maybe Woodruff, he's still
yeah, Woodruff, Quintana. Yeah.
I mean, that bodes well for a team against some of these teams that are just bombing it and not
Mhm.
getting as much starting pitching as maybe the Brewers are. So
Yeah.
I know that's a way deep in the crystal ball, and home runs change things real quick. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean that'd be one thing that you'd look at if this Brewers team is like if that starting pitching stays the way it is in those, you get 3 starters like that go back to back to back.
Mhm.
That would be great.
It's going to be fascinating to me though too with that starting pitching, how they navigate the Nestor Cortez.
Yeah,
Because he's back. Sounds like he's gonna be back All-Star break. I feel like he would be like a trade candidate to go to a team looking for a veteran starter. But do you have to pitch him to showcase it a little
right.
bit?
And you want that depth
Mhm.
because we've seen in years past how quickly
Yeah.
you can go from having a starting 5, I guess 6, whatever you want to call it at this
Right.
point, to having one guy who,
Mhm.
and then you're throwing other guys out there. So
To give credit though, Tobias Myers back up, and he's been pitching well down in
Right.
AAA. So would that be the option? Because if you bring Nestor, do you want to take Quinn Priester out
and
the way
what's
he's
the
pitching?
what's
So
the Ashby like? At what point?
yeah,
What's their
he's just a relief guy now at this one. But
Yeah. That's good problems to have.
Right.
Really, it is. I mean, compared to hey, who are we going to pick up off the scrap heap
Mm-hmm.
to have start these games?
Right.
They're not there at that, which they've been in the years past, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna have to go outside the organization and find somebody. So yeah, but if you have, like you said, you have those pieces for trades.
Yep.
If you need to. So
Exactly. All right, we got to take our final break here. We'll wrap things up after these quick words. All right, wrapping things up. We only got about 10 minutes left. We don't have any baseball games to pick here.
Yeah, it's a quiet.
It is.
Next couple of, it's that All-Star break, and it seems like it's actually quiet again.
It is. So, but we could do some home run derby picks if you want to, do that.
Oh
A
boy,
little bit of that.
you give me the list.
I'll give you the list. You got so the home run derby tonight, 7:00. If you want to watch it, you've got Cal Raleigh, 38 home runs, the catcher from Seattle.
Hard to pick against him.
Yeah, James Wood from the Nationals. We just saw him. Junior Caminero from Tampa Bay. Byron Buxton, who just got the cycle.
Good
on
for
his bobblehead day too.
Good for him. Like this is we all know the talent Byron Buxton has. It's just been able to stay on the field.
Mm-hmm.
For him to have the first half he's had, it shows you the true potential he has as a ball player. And good for him to get the All-Star nod and get a chance in the home run derby too.
Yep,
he's been crushing some bombs this year.
And Georgia's his home state, so going back home for this. Brent Rooker from the Athletics, Matt Olson, Atlanta Braves, Jazz Chisholm Jr., and then O'Neal Cruz is going in there. So,
like O'Neal Cruz, that swing doesn't take much to get it out of the park.
Yep,
I like O'Neal Cruz just because it's just reached the bat out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Judge. When you're that tall, you make contact.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good chance it's going somewhere. So
mm-hmm.
I'll go O'Neal Cruz.
I was gonna go there too. Like, Cal's the popular one because he's already got 38 home runs. But I mean, how many times does that actually transit? Unless you're Ken Griffey Jr. or Mark Blair or something like that.
But that's you think of Griffey's swing,
and
just how easy it was. And I think that's the ones that have that most success, where it's not you're not swinging hard. You're just letting that bat go through the zone there and making the contact. So
if I'm a Mariners fan, I'm actually a little worried that our guy Cal is in the home run derby, so it doesn't derail his swing in the second half.
38 home runs at this point. Second most.
Yep. The big dumpster. Gotta love that nickname.
He doesn't look like a guy who would hit 38 home runs either.
He doesn't.
See him, he's like, oh, okay. But he's found something, so it's awesome to see.
Yep. I think I'm going to have to go. All right. I'll go Buxton. Go Buxton.
Okay.
I was going to go Cruz, but I'll go Buxton.
You got that hometown thing going for him there, so I think that's a good one.
I know Matt Olson's like, well, it's hometown, home park and all that. If I'd either go Buxton or Cruz, just because Cruz in that violent swing I think would actually help him out in this one.
So I think it'll be. I think it's what's the format this year? Is it?
Oh gosh, probably. What is it?
That's always the tough thing. Is like, what are they doing to?
Yeah, because then you got to talk about not tiring out.
Yeah,
throughout the whole thing too.
Like 2-hour event.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It used to feel like it used to be like an hour.
Yep.
And it was done.
And it was like during the day too, because I remember watching the old replays of them all.
Yeah, it would be like Veterans Stadium, and they're out there hitting, and it's 90 degrees out.
Exactly. Oh, when 90s sports were the best.
We got another big event this week.
What's that?
The Open Championship.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Who are you rolling with? I'll ask you for your pick.
Oh, I like the way Rory made a run there at the Scottish Open.
Mm-hmm.
And my pick's always Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah.
I love Scotty. He'll always be mine. But other than that, God, I want Oberg to break through.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Victor Hovland, I pick too much. It's something about the Scandinavian kind of I want one of those two guys is going to break through at one of these. But man, Scotty, I don't know if links is Scotty's type of golf. Everything's his golf, but yeah. I mean, or like Tommy Fleetwood.
Ooh,
finally breaking through. Well,
that's a good pick,
technically it'd be he's won over in Europe, but he's never won in the PGA Tour. And it's kind of a cool.
Yeah.
Dang it. I got to do these because I do some picks. I'm gonna go. I feel like Terrell Hatton's been close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Rory just because I feel like we've all now discounted him after his Masters win.
That would be kind of something. Start off with the Masters and then end with the Open.
The Open kind of bookend the season. So, I mean, the odds right now, top odds, Scotty's number one, but Scotty should always be number one. It's Scotty, Rory, John Rahm, who's been playing really good. Bryson, I don't know if links for Bryson.
Yeah, that one I don't know.
Xander, who's finally kind of rounding back into. He hasn't missed a cut. You know, people are like, oh, he's having a rough. It's like, well, his rough year isn't missing a cut. That's pretty good. Then it's Olberg, Fleetwood, Morikawa, who's been kind of rising up in the ranks there too. Hovland, Hatton, Shane Lowry, Robert McIntyre, who won the Scottish last year. Sepp Straka's having a great year, and Joaquin Niemann, who everybody's kind of talked about. So
I've got a pick that you have not mentioned yet.
All right, who is it?
Maybe a little bit of a wild card, but he did finish top 5 past week. I'm gonna go with Fitzpatrick.
Okay. I think he's another guy that is also kind of getting back after, going into the muck there for a little bit.
Yep.
It's that's kind of the fun thing about golf, and kind of you can understand what makes it so relatable is that you have these top guys that have won majors, and then it just kind of all falls apart. I mean, Justin Thomas, another guy who's been there, and then if they can find their way back, because I think we've all been there with our own game. It's like, man, I just hit great. Then a week later, you're like, I can't swing this club.
Yep.
It's not going where, like, because you start thinking and
then you overanalyze. And,
paralysis by analysis. Yeah, I think they have Brooks Koepka still in like the top 15, and he hasn't done anything. So, what about Keegan Bradley? Wouldn't that be he wins the last major before the Ryder Cup?
Right.
At this point, he's going to be on the team.
I would think so. Right? I wouldn't think so.
Who did they brought in somebody to be the assistant that I'm trying to think. It was like Lucas Glover. I think it was.
Wasn't Lucas?
Okay. Like, he has a top 10, has a good performance here at the Open. How do you deny him?
So Keegan Bradley, captain of the 2025 U.S. Ryder Cup team, has named Gary Woodland. Fifth and final. Yep. Okay.
I got my Lucas Glover and Gary Woodland.
I forgot the Ryder Cup's actually at Bethpage Black too.
Right.
So that's
So you're gonna have this, then you'll have the FedEx Cup playoffs. Then in September, first 2 weeks in September, something like that.
September 23rd through 28th.
28th. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he wins a major, he has to put himself on the team.
I would think so.
If he finishes top 10, he's playing great golf. He just got another win. I mean, it's been a fun year in the PGA because it's just been all over the place. And I think this last major should be fun. The toughest test.
I agree.
I guess.
I mean, it kind of that course kind of just evens it out a little bit though too, doesn't it?
Right.
I
mean, you can be a long striker and it's always going to help you, but there's always little things that you have to do. I mean, with those greens and then just rolling them on there, and those greens are going to be fast.
Yeah. I got to ask. I mean, we only got a couple minutes left, but I know we got a couple people who are big in this. Goldberg retired. Retirement speech.
He's done.
Yeah.
Are
you sad?
No.
Okay.
Even going back to like 1999, 2000.
I
was kind of over the whole Goldberg thing.
Yeah.
After like the first year of it. So it's good. He got his flowers on his way out. I think he's done.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know he had until it just popped up. So
yeah, no, he had his on Saturday night's main event. But the AEW had their big pay-per-view.
Yeah.
At Globe Life in Texas. Hangman Page, champion once again. Me and Brandon.
Are you more the AEW?
At this point, I think I am.
Yeah.
I enjoy the structure of AEW more, which is more wrestling than it is entertaining. It's still very entertaining. But it's not so much the WWE style of
which one is McAfee with all of?
He's in WWE.
Is it WWE? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. AEW and AEW's kind of that scrappy. The under WWE's on the top. AEW's trying to claw out, and I just enjoy that a little more.
Yeah, I like it. So, all right, I only got a minute left here, bud. So again, big thanks for stopping
no problem.
by.
Thanks for having me. I'm sorry I've been MIA for the last month.
You're good. You're good.
I might be MIA again after next week for another month, but we'll be in football season. We start. We'll be good.
Training camp starts next week. Can you believe that?
Don't say words.
Don't say words.
Don't say those words. No, I can't, but I can because summer's just older you get, the summer's just you snap and it's over.
Mm-hmm.
It really is how it goes. We try to make the most of it as we can.
And that's probably why it goes by so fast.
Yeah.
Because we're always trying to do something, or
Yep.
always got something going on. So, but no, big thanks again for stopping by, buddy. It's great catching up with you.
It's been great to be back.
Try to get on the course before the classic here in a couple weeks.
I need it.
Wrestling, dude. See this big title belt that you could be putting up in the sports studio?
That needs to be around my waist.
All right.
I'm coming for it, Dan.
We went bigger this year, so
you know, I've hit my share of electrical panels in the past, but that ain't happening anymore. The only panels I've been hitting are 50-pound weights.
It's because you don't have to worry about that panel at this course.
Just a lot of trees. I know that.
All right. Thanks, buddy. DP Dancer up next. Have a good Monday. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. See you then.